Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, and welcome to the Amateur Otaku Podcast. How's everybody doing out there? I am Brandon Alvarado, the Scarlet Fan here, and I am back and excited to talk anime with all you guys and gals to talk awesome anime. I'm really excited to be here. If you guys love what we do here at the Amateur Otaku Podcast, we do reviews of manga, animes, movies, series, anything that's part of this amazing medium of anime and manga, we cover it on this show. We have a YouTube channel. We also have a podcast platform. So if you guys want to follow us, go to our YouTube channel, click on the like button, subscribe, and make sure you click on the bell for notifications because we do weekly streams of awesome anime content. We also put up videos every week of shows, movies, of different stuff that we're currently watching, discovering, or things that you guys have recommended to us. We're always going to put them online and do awesome videos about it. We also have a podcast channel. That's where we started. It's available on Anchor, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Radio Public. Whenever podcasts are found, you can find the Amateur Otaku. And as always, I'm never doing this alone. Most of the times I don't do it alone. The great stuff I don't do alone. And of course, I don't do this alone. I'm here with the one and only Isaac Wolf. What's up, man?
It's going good. It's going good. Yeah, it's been a long time in the making to cover some singing, not abysmal.
That's so you're gonna start now. You made your ponster of damn it, I hate your name. So
it's misspelled also, I see. Fuck.
That wow, awesome. Let's do this. Fuck no. and that was Amateur Otaku's last video on YouTube. Boop. So we need to censor that. But hey guys, welcome to the We Should Talk Podcast, your favorite family-oriented show to cover family-oriented content because we both know that the movie we're covering is 100% family-oriented. I mean, there's a lot of family going around.
Right.
But yeah, we're going to talk about an awesome movie. We covered this show last year, was it? We covered last year. I
think it was last year or the year before.
Yeah. Can you imagine, Isaac? We're almost at 3 years. The Amateur Otaku is almost 3 years old. That's pretty awesome.
And the YouTube channel just hit 1 year, so.
Woohoo! So I don't know what that was. But yeah, I'm really excited to cover this this movie. Yeah, right. But yes. So what we're talking. Can I just start talking about what we're going to talk about? So we're going to talk about Made in Abyss. We talked about Made in Abyss a while back. We love the show. It is a very beautifully animated show. It's cute. But there's a darkness and a very realistic stake world. This is not a show for kids, but it's a very interesting fantasy world with a lot of sci-fi elements. And we were drawn to the characters, drawn to the phenomenal world. And it's very interesting because Made in Abyss had a great first season. They did what a lot of animes do, that they did this OVA recap movie, right? Which I think is the Journey something movie, right? It's like a summary of the first season.
It's honestly one of the better recap movies
that you've seen.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the recap movie for Attack on Titans, for example, and that.
Yeah,
it's not that good.
Well, you got to think about it. I mean, when the seasons are so great, it's very hard to make a recap movie. You kind of just want to tell people, just go watch the seasons and just call it a day.
And this might sound weird for me to say, but even as someone that can't stand Neon Genesis Evangelion, even I say that if you like the series, watch the series, not the movie, because that movie is not that good.
Yes. Yeah, the movie's pretty bad. Now, that being said, I don't know if you know this, Isaac. Even what? No, even what?
Even though Shinji Okari can burn in a living in a roasty environment with a burning fire, I'd still say
he should suffer the wrath of the Lord Surtur. Surtur, the Norse fire god. Yeah. So, I mean, you would know Norse, right? but but I was gonna ask, since we're talking about Evangelion for some reason, um, I finally have access to all the new reimaginings of Evangelion, because they reimagined the whole thing and expand the story, and now it's like four new movies, and I have access to them.
We are not
Do you?
covering them before we do the Ninja Resurrection
So
commentary.
okay, so I get it. So you're gonna make me suffer, and then I can make you suffer. Is that how it works? Is that how life
Yeah.
works? Okay, that's fine. I mean, I still dread the fact that our commentary of End of Evangelion was one of our most listened podcasts, and it was just me like banging myself on my desk because it was just so bad. Um, you conniving bastard. But yes, we're talking about Made in Abyss. We covered the entire first season, but it's just interestingly enough, Made in Abyss did a recap movie, but they didn't do a season two. They pretty much did. They went before Demon Slayer did Mugen Train. They did this. Actually, you know what? The first people to do this, I think it was Dragon Ball, right? Like
Yeah.
the whole Resurrection F was one of the first sequel arc movies made that wasn't in the main. Like, is Resurrection F, is that arc in the show, in Dragon Ball Super show, or is that like Broly,
I'm
where it's
fairly
just like an in
certain.
canon movie?
I am fairly
Or
certain that they had used them in the anime also.
because I know that Golden
And
Frieza is in
I'm
the
fairly,
anime.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
I'm fairly
so
certain that they did a Mugen Train with both Battle of Gods and Resurrection F for Dragon
but I
Ball
know they didn't
Super.
do it with
You know what
Broly.
I mean?
Broly is just like a movie
Nope.
event, but it is in canon, right?
Yeah.
Like one day the
And where
anime
the
people.
Super is currently now, I'm just questioning where the hell is Broly?
so so yeah, so they did. So they went a Mugen Train route where we didn't get a season two, but we got a complete story arc in movie form, and that movie is Made in Abyss: Dawn of the Deep Abyss. And oh my god, this film, like, I don't think they were totally satisfied with us being freaked out by the end of season one. Because I think we talked about the fact that towards the end of season one, the narrative and serious shift in tone, in the level of violence, and the stakes all went. It's like the whole thing, the whole parable of the frog in a pot of boiling water. You know what I mean? Like like
Yeah.
like the like the pot, like the frog doesn't figure out that it's gonna be eaten alive until it's already too late, right? I felt that way when we saw that season. Like by the time we were there, I was like, oh shit. Like, um, and like it's like how like what's the word I'm looking for? You know how like you see these movies where they're doing this like stakeout or this intervention, or they're about to trap a villain or whatever, and he's like enjoying his meal, and suddenly as he looks around, people are being escorted out of the room, and then he finds himself alone. That's how I felt watching that.
Yeah.
Especially the
I
whole
can
thing
certainly
with
see.
yeah, the whole thing with the main character getting poisoned. I mean, Nana, she is cute as hell. It's like they think that they can make us forget all the blood and guts because Nanashi is freaking cute. They think we're gonna forget it. They think cuteness is the way to wash over all the horrible. No, they make us suffer with the cuteness. Damn it, Isaac. I don't want to
If
cry in
anything,
front of cuteness.
if anything, it makes it worse.
Yes. And for some reason, I have a feeling that the creators know this, and I hate them. But yeah, it's a great show. I mean, and the movie, in spite of it being embracing that darker side of everything, because of course um we're dealing with the main antagonist, or we're dealing with the one responsible for Nanashi's transformation. We knew from the get go that this was going to be something serious. We knew that this was going to be dark, deep, and interesting. But I think that this movie like it did everything so well, and it told too much, a lot of story. It didn't take too long. I think the runtime was just perfect. I felt that the pacing was great. Um, I mean, this is one of the better examples of, if you're gonna make a sequel film similar to Mugen Train, right? That, you know, that for you to be able to tell a complete arc, you got to say a lot, you know. But I think it was on the hands of a very good director, and it was I loved it. That's my general idea of the movie. I love this
Yeah,
movie. It
and
was very good, and I
and
can't wait for
the
more Made in Abyss. Um, but yeah, go ahead.
and the fact that, I'm sorry if I butchered the name, to Shiyuki Morikawa has the voice of the villain makes it even more terrifying. For
And how
reference,
about
he's
you
the voice of
tell Sephiroth?
for
Yes.
the reference for people unaware who the guy is. He's the voice for Japanese voice for Sephiroth. Do I need to say anything else?
See, now you ruined it for me, because every time now that I watch Bondrewd, I'm gonna hear come. I'm gonna hear fall one winged angel everywhere. Um so look, apparently the director of the movie is the same director for the anime. So there is like some type of, there is that sense of continuity there. So that's pretty awesome. Um, do you know of anything else that the Made in Abyss writer has done? Because I've never heard of anything else that she's done.
Are you
I think
talking about the screenwriter or the manga writer?
the
Because it's
mangaka,
a manga.
the mangaka. I think she's
Let
only
me
done
check.
this. No, I'm looking at it right now. The mangaka is Akihito Sakushi. Um, and I haven't heard anything else. I mean, but I like, that's one of those things I like about the world of anime and manga specifically, is that, you know how when you watch like a superhero movie or film or anything like that, you kind of you kind of hear the same names, or you kind of hear the same brain trust, right? But with manga, you always get someone new. Like, it's always like a lot of the breakout mangas, most of them are just something new from someone that just thought of, that came out of nowhere. Like, every time a
Yeah,
manga becomes famous, a lot of times it's this breakthrough artist, someone that came out of nowhere. And any of these artists that get like a repeat, where they get more than one work that's new and different, that becomes a success, a lot of times it's rare. Not because it's bad, but because a lot of the most successful mangas go for 5, 6, 7 years. Like, it's like one of those things, like, if you make your way to Shonen Jump, right, and you go and you're able, because you know Shonen Jump is like, I think every mangaka gets like a monthly trial where where they're able to put at least like 2 or 3 chapters out, right? And if
I'm fairly
Shonen,
certain about that, yes.
yeah, and normally if the magazine, whether it's Kodansha or whatever, if they pick it up, then it goes to series and they become a regular of the book. Um, and not everybody makes it, but a lot of times when you find those that do, and it makes really well, that's how you get to know them. That's how they get an anime and stuff like that. But I like the fact that you always hear, like, you may hear similar artists, but you always hear about these new people. Like, for example, nobody knew who Kohei Horikoshi was until My Hero Academia. Nobody knew
Yeah.
who Isayama was until Attack on Titan. Nobody knew who Akira Toriyama was till Dragon Ball. And even then, he was famous for a lot of different things that he did. But today, what is he still famous for? That he came back to Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball and Dragon's Quest.
Yep. Which it has dragons in it.
Mostly Dragon Ball.
So it's all
But
about the dragons. But yeah, it's like I
fun
like.
side note, by the way.
Go ahead.
Fun side note, by the way. Did you know that an editor for Oda had to fight for having One Piece being serialized. He literally had to fight for it after they published one shot.
Who had to fight to get serialized? The creator?
He's one of his editors.
Oh,
He
because
supposedly had
they
to.
wanted to drop it. They wanted to drop it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy.
That is like
But
that,
that's that's
that is
that's
like
faith.
Beatles. That's like Beatles slash Harry Potter slash 50 Shades of Grey level. Oh, yikes!
Yeah, that's
Canon.
that's a lot. That's a lot. Um, but yeah, man. I mean, I'm glad that we always get new creators. Like for example, we have this other show that's called Chainsaw Man that I can't wait for it to get an anime adaptation. I just swallowed 97 chapters of that, which is like, I mean, it was awesome. I mean, I kind of crap my pants because as soon as I finished reading chapter 97, it says end of first arc. And I'm like, what? The first arc was 97 chapters. So yeah, that's what I said. But yeah, someone else different. Like, but yeah, I don't know. Besides the point, I'm glad that Made in Abyss is becoming awesome. They're making more content, more movies, more anime versions of it. Of course,
They were
another
even supposed
beautiful.
to make a movie. Isn't it supposed to be a game coming soon? Also,
I think so. Yeah. Um, and supposedly, I think you read a rumor. You mentioned it off screen that they're making a live action Made in Abyss movie, which I think is a really bad idea.
yeah, reported
I
from Collider, so it has some form of.
and to
Uh,
that and to that I say, damn it.
Also, it is going to get a second season. The movie is just connected as a. It's just supposedly just a canon movie.
Do you think they're gonna do? Like, I think you think they're gonna go full Mugen Train, or do you think they're gonna go straight into what's next?
Apparently, in November 21st, this one I totally missed. Made in Abyss Season 2 release date in 2022, confirmed by Made in Abyss Golden City of the Scores in Sun trailer. And I have a feeling that in the Golden City of Sourcing Sun wasn't exactly the arc that we were following this movie.
No, no. So it looks like they're gonna take their season two movie seriously, or I would say season 1.5 if we're gonna call it that, right? They're gonna take that seriously
Yeah.
and go straight to season. I really like that. Personally, I didn't bother watching the Mugen Train anime arc because I think the movie did enough for me, and I think I didn't want to cry again. Um, Rengoku, Rengoku sad. But let's go back to the movie that we went to everywhere. But Made in Abyss again, another beautiful, beautiful movie by Studio Orange, which awesome. I mean, Studio Orange, of course, we know them from Beastars, which is another show that we love. But this film is great, greatly animated, great details, great voice acting. Everything was great. Um, but if we thought that the last couple of little bits that we saw from season one were dark, damn it, Isaac, this one went Full Metal Alchemist. Like this was a lot.
I would
Like
say that it's even worse.
yeah, yes,
It's close
but
to worse.
it's like and there's philosophical elements and like there's a lot of interesting things here. Of course, guys, we're gonna spoil the hell out of this movie, so just don't think that we're not. We're gonna we're gonna talk spoilers about it. So I think just in case, let's put a little spoiler tag here because I don't want people to be like very angry at us. Um,
I'm
so
including spoilers in the
so
title. Don't you worry.
so we're gonna talk spoilers of Dawn of the Deep Soul. But the first thing I wanted to point out is there's a lot of Full Metal Alchemists here, and what I like and what I mean by that is like you have a blonde main character um and a mechanical counterpart, right? Um, yeah, I know. It's like Greg is another Alphonse because of course that's what it is. But the whole thing with the villain and the idea of immortality and the idea of knowledge and advancement, there's a lot of similarities, and I'm just a fan of Full Metal. And like one of the things of Full Metal that works is that whenever they go into the science and understanding of the world, it feels, it pulls you in. You know what I mean? You know how you have certain
Yeah.
shows that try to make like Tenet is a very interesting movie, but when you see the premise and the science fiction behind it, it really doesn't capture you because it sounds like nonsense, but it looks cool. You know what I mean? Like the whole thing with, you know what I mean? Like the whole thing with Tenet works
Yeah.
in the movie, but it really doesn't make sense, right? Here, it makes sense within the world, and that's what you want in a movie like this. So, like when you watch Full Metal Alchemist, the whole scientific understanding of how the Philosopher's Stone is made, and how it amplifies abilities in alchemy, and how it uses human souls and all that stuff, that makes sense within that world, and it's fascinating all the way till the climax when they're fighting Father, and he's trying to make more stones. Um, and then you have the whole thing with Bondrewd, which, by the way, what an amazing villain. Um, like we all know that he's an asshole, but what a charming asshole.
I wouldn't call him charming,
But you know what I mean?
honestly.
Well, what I mean by that is whenever you see him on screen, like of course you can't see his face, so you don't see any expressions, you don't know what he looks like, you don't know what he's thinking, but the way he talks, he's always talks smooth, he always talks soothing, especially all the scenes that he has with Bushida, you know what I mean? like like
Yeah.
if you didn't know anything about him, he is a charming guy that you want to sit down and have a cup of coffee and find out about the world. Or he looks like a great father or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you think about all those little things. But then when you look at Nanashi and then you go back and you know how it is like, when you hear something from another character and then you see the other character in front of you, and you kind of like reconcile one story with the character that you're seeing, and it's really hard to do that. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way this guy did this. You know what I mean? And it's not till you actually see him do everything and go worse. Like, I don't know.
And the fact that he is so calm and collected when he do his action, all that,
Yeah.
with a voice like that, is just.
Yes.
Ugh.
Yes. And that's why I meant charming, because it's charming and collected and smooth, and then it becomes psychopathic. Um, you know what I mean? And then you find out, oh wait, he's not charming. He's just a freaking sociopath. You know what I mean? He's just this guy that.
Sociopath is too kind of a word.
Am I? Oh, okay. So he's the god of death. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I mean Sephiroth? So but yeah, I like that. I like this character. And I think he was one of the best antagonists that we see, because it's one of the more complicated ones. Because of course, no matter what happens and whether he wins or loses, he's convinced that he's right. He's convinced that he is serving himself and maybe the world with everything that he's discovered while being in this layer and experiencing the further layers of the abyss. Which, by the way, can we talk about how interesting this world continues to be? Um, I'm not tired of this world. Are you?
No,
Every
or
time, yeah,
how should I put it? It's a show slash movie series that I only can take in certain doses. It's not something that I would be able to marathon watch, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, 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 100%. But the reason I say the that I'm not tired of this world is not because I want to binge everything, because trust me, I agree with you. I can't take weekly viewings of the torture of this, like because it's hard to watch some of the things, but the world, the environment, it's always so interesting and fascinating. Like every time you go deeper into the abyss, how it's a brand new world. You know how when you're playing Super Mario and every time you
Yeah,
clear an area, it's something completely different, right? And that's kind of like what
yeah,
keeps you glued to your console. A lot of times it's because sometimes, like in my case, I suck at Super Mario. So after two levels and 10 and I lose 10 lives, I just turn it off and move to something else. But like a lot of times what makes me keep playing is whenever I finally beat the castle of that area and I go to a different area and everything changes and now I'm jumping on top of marshmallows as opposed to cakes. You know what I mean? Like those kind of change in environments keep me interested. It's the same thing goes with this. It's the fact that I watched Made in Abyss, this movie, and nothing at all looks like what we saw in the previous season. They're in a completely different world with completely different rules, with completely different vegetation, with completely different stories, characters, dangers, and I like that about it. And that's the kind of thing that gets me excited for the next arc and the next season because I know the world's going to be different. There's going to be something, there's going to be a catch to that world. And I like that that's kind of one of the moving forces of the show itself. Like it's in the anime's DNA. Does that make sense? Um, which I think is one of the things that's kept One Piece alive. Like one of the bases is not that I've watched it, but I know the main idea of One Piece, of course, and I see the notes, I see the story notes and all that stuff. One of the things about One Piece is it's all about finding the One Piece, but also about exploring the seas and exploring all the different lands out there. So every time they go or a new story arc starts, they're in a different place altogether that has different people, different cultures. Like they're freaking samurais now and whatever. There weren't samurais in the beginning, you know what I mean? And now there's dragons and stuff. Um, like that's what keeps me going
I know what
in
you
this
mean.
in this type of show. So that apart from the fact that the stakes keep getting higher, which I don't know how much higher they can go now after everything we've seen. Um, are you ready to talk about the big what the of the movie, or do you want to talk about something else first?
I think we can go to the big what the hell.
So the whole thing with
Also,
Nanashi. Go ahead.
Brandon,
Yeah.
remember, I have swore like a sailor multiple times in this YouTube channel. Also, we have put an age restriction, not for kids, for the videos. So it's okay if we are loud mouthing.
I'm trying to be nice about it. I want, you know what? Whenever I curse, I want it to mean something. You know what I mean?
For fuck's sake, don't worry about it.
And shit, leave me the fuck alone. No, okay, so, so, um, but so the whole thing about this movie, so they need to get to the sixth layer, and apparently the only way to get to the sixth layer or the next layer in the abyss, downward, of course, is they have to take this elevator that Bondrewd is the only one that has access to it. Apparently, only a white whistle can operate it or is able to activate it. But of course, Bondrewd has other plans because Bondrewd, ever since Nanashi was able to survive, because apparently there's this radiation or something in the abyss that whenever you go into an area and you stay in an area too long, human beings mutate because they can't take the pressure or the gravity or whatever it is. So he's trying to find a way where a human can survive the abyss or that portion of the abyss. Because I think the idea is that this doesn't happen Like this only happens in this area, right? I think
I
that's the point
mean,
of it.
it make. I know it's a sort of like a science fiction fantasy series,
Yeah.
but honestly, if you really think about it, it kind of makes sense that the further you go into the underground, the more dangerous it becomes in terms of radiation and all
Of course.
everything along. So it may make sense to have that as a. It would come off as I wouldn't. It's a realistic plot bone in a very unrealistic
Yes.
uh, series, if you catch my drift.
100%. 100%. And apparently they have to use a special elevator so they don't feel the effects of whatever's going on with the abyss. Um, and Bondrewd has been fascinated with the fact that Nana she made it back, but when she came back, she mutated into this bunny hybrid that apparently is a walking plush doll for everybody. I mean, she's cute as hell. Um, she's like the cutest turtle rabbit I've ever seen in my life. But so Bondrew's been trying to figure out how to make that happen, how to do it to himself. So he's surrounded with all these goons that act like people that only know how to say the same word over and over again. So they're not mentally there, but they're scientists like him apparently. Um, so at the beginning, we think that he's going to be a good guy because he has a white whistle. But the funny thing is, the first time we met a white whistle, she tried to kill Greg, um, and tried to make things difficult. So apparently, white whistles so far have been the villains of the show, which probably I think it's interesting because they're the highest degree of explorer or abyss. I don't know. Is there a specific name for them for the people that go down? I think there was a specific name. I forgot about it. Um, but but apparently her mother is like the exception. Now I'm thinking. Now I just thought about this. Do you think her mom is a villain, or her mom is kind of like twirling on the dark side too? Because I mean, every white whistle we've met is kind of like
I mean,
it would only make sense, right?
I who knew at this? Who knows at this point? Maybe she got a bite whistle the same way as little main protagonist.
Maybe that is true. Maybe, but we have to assume that she's somewhere down there, and being down there, you're probably not down there with a lot of people. So
Or
I think
maybe she has become a white whistle.
oh, damn, stop. That is
I mean, with how dark this series is, wouldn't that be a possibility?
yes, yes. Which let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. That's one of the first Full Metal Alchemist parallels. So so white whistles have a very particular. So white whistles are worn by the most experienced explorers of the abyss. But the only way a white whistle is made is by what is it? Is it it's by I don't know the word. It's by something that occurs to the human heart, right? Like literally white whistles are human heart and flesh bonded together into a whistle. And
You can
every
essentially
white
say that it's a human sacrifice.
yeah, it's a human sacrifice, simplified version. Yeah. It's a human sacrifice. And that particular whistle is only in tune to a specific person or to the person that made the whistle. So the only way you can become the best of the best explorers or go further down is to sacrifice a human or a creature or something. And you know what's crazy now that I think about it? It has like kind of like a hell ritual parallel, kind of like the only way you go further into the depths of hell is like sacrificing someone's soul or something. You know what I mean? It's like heavy
Yeah.
dark. So like it's not the law of equivalent exchange, but that's how big the stakes are now. Like the only way that she can move further in her adventure to find her mom, and now it's become about finding Reg's identity as well. I mean, it's been that, but now we got more information on Reg too, which I want to cover. They have to sacrifice someone, but of course they're thinking that Bondrewd will make the elevator work for them, until we find out that Bondrewd wants to dissect Reg because Reg fascinates him, and that whole dissection scene with Reg where he starts like
Ugh.
breaking parts off of him, that was crazy. That was I was
Ugh.
not expecting that. Yeah, I know. Are you okay?
Ugh. Yeah. It just shivers in my spine just thinking about that scene.
Yeah, that was very
Just for
dark.
reference, when I started this series, just for people to realize how dark this is, uh, when I put on Attack on Titans, we don't get a human discretion is advised, but with Made in Abyss, that's where you get a human discretion is advised.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how dark it is.
Yeah. It's super dark. Um but I find that very interesting. How how her trying to find the truth that she wants to find out has a bigger cost as she moves further and further and further. And you got to think about it, she's just a kid. She is just a kid. And
which
sometimes I think
which is
the
why I mentioned
series.
it before, which is why the darker elements feels so more oh shit, oh shit, oh shit than
Yes, than
if
the
they
usual.
were
Yeah.
teenager or
Yeah.
adults. You can argue that it's somewhat it's the why it part two is more effective than it part was it part, the first part of it is much more effective than
Yeah.
the second part of it.
Yeah. That's the same reason why the premise of Promised Neverland was so good, because they were old kids,
Yes.
and so the horror factor was always through that childlike glance, as opposed to adults dealing with horror or zombies or stuff like that. Um, but I like the idea that we know more about Reg now because of that dissection or whatever. But we find out that Reg has a life clock, which means that he has to control whenever he uses Mega Man Blaster. Um, we're gonna call it Mega Man Blaster, right? That's what we're gonna do. Yes. Um,
Yeah. We can do that.
but I like how now apparently he has a transformation, because why not? I like how I kind of like how he's like Mega Man, and now he's kind of like Mega Man slash Sonic the Hedgehog, with his ability of kind of like spinning his chains all around him. You know what I mean? He literally becomes a ball that's impervious to damage.
Mega Man cross Sonic as he while going in berserker mode,
Yes,
kinda.
yes. By the way, the animation of the battles and the whole battle scenes with Reg, they took a huge leap from the last season. Like last season, yes, we had really good fight scenes and good action set pieces, but I like how it's evolved with Reg, and all the like. I feel that we leveled up in a way that I'm pretty satisfied with what they're doing with the action. Um, so I like to see more of a Reg, and the whole thing about there's probably more Regs out there. You kind of count that too when you saw like the dark side of Reg, like maybe he's not the only Reg that exists. or maybe he's one of many models. I kind of have that idea. What do you think? Did you kind of catch or feel that a little bit, Isaac?
I was muted. What I'm gonna was trying to say is that I wouldn't be surprised if it is more like him, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's he's the only one of his kind. Also,
Like,
uh,
is maybe the only one
just
left?
may it be that he's the only one left, or he is created to protect someone or help someone, as for example, see, how should I put it? Think Pinocchio. He's the only one made of because
Oh, I got you. I got you. I got you.
but changed being a real boy to lifeguard or some bodyguard or something.
Right.
Maybe for the sake of saving. Maybe he was a normal kid that had to make those procedures to be saved.
And I wouldn't be surprised, based on what we've seen. I mean, every white whistle that we've met has always been like this remarkable and capable person, and they always excel at something, right? Like the first one, she's like super strong, right? This one, he's strong, but he's like this brilliant, maniacal megalomaniac, right? Maybe the person that
Yeah,
made Reg is just impressive in what things that they can build. And I wouldn't be surprised if we're probably gonna find out that her mom made Reg, because maybe she knew that at some point she was going to want to come down the abyss before she was ready or before she was old enough, maybe. So she knew she was going to need help. So
yeah,
she made Reg specifically for that trip. I wouldn't be surprised if it's something like that. And I think, you know what? Now that I think about it, you're right. It may just be that, which was still cool, which is still cool, because I think that his design is awesome, and also how his abilities stack up. I think we always talked about this when we talked about the season one, how a lot of the story beats, and a lot of the action set pieces, they all feel very Metroidvania, RPG, Legend of Zelda, video game like, right? Like this show feels like you're following a video game, right? So everything, so we've seen every character level up significantly, and it feels like that in a good way. Because you know that some people make mistakes. Like, we're not going to talk about the Persona 5 anime, which is bad, but but like, this one feels right. This one feels good. Like, to have this is one of those that has that video game comparison next to it, but in the best way possible, right? So
yeah,
I really like the action, really like the encounters, um, and the whole thing about sacrificing humans, the whole plot of Bondrewd sacrificing his daughter. Again, another Full Metal thing. Sacrificing his daughter for the sake of achieving power and confirming his hypothesis or whatever, of surviving the effects of that part of the abyss, but how it's linked with the idea of immortality against humanity. You know what I mean?
pretty
And I
much.
know we've talked and I know we've talked about this before in other shows. Um the idea that if you're because if you're going to you can be immortal, but if you seek immortality and you live beyond your lifespan, the possibilities are that you're going to lose your humanity. And the idea that one of the biggest expressions of humanity is joy and love, and the idea that the price to survive the dangers of the abyss is not simply a life. The price is love. The price is joy. Because to think about that Nana, she survived because of the love that she felt for her friend, and Bondrewd used the love and affection that he um that he developed with Pashida to allow him to transform. That is crazy. That is nuts. And I love the show for I don't love the show for the what for that happening, but that type of complexity makes me enjoy the show more. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Um,
that
did that
absolutely
surprise
makes
you?
sense.
Did that surprise you that was the like? Were you expecting that to be the whole thing? Like not just the fact that it was a sacrifice, but it was that type. The fact that he discovered that it was that type.
No,
Did that surprise you?
because that doesn't surprise me considering how quote unquote affectionate he was towards his quote unquote daughter, even though the love was just simply a Stockholm syndrome and nothing else, you can argue.
Yeah, yeah. Especially when they show you the flashbacks.
Yeah.
It's horrible. It's horrible. I mean, I'm glad he's dead. That's horrible to say, right? But like, that's the kind of villain that once they beat him, you're like, you bastard, you done. um, how
Yeah.
did you find did you find it? Go ahead. You were gonna say something.
No, no, I wasn't going to say something.
Did you find it
So go
interesting the
ahead.
whole? Did you find it interesting the whole thing with the with him being surrounded with multiples of himself?
Not surprised, if anything.
I was surprised. I wasn't expecting that take on it. I mean, I found it very ingenious how he uses that helmet to transfer his consciousness and how he continues to live that way. Um, I found that very interesting because I also find that they did the right thing in the story because they gave towards the end, towards the final battle, everyone had a very specific role that only that character could do. You know what I mean? And I like how the writer's very creative with all those things, and I can't wait to see more of the story and how these characters continue to develop. So, for being just a movie, I felt that these characters grew a lot, and I did find it a very good, touching, dark, good but touching climax. That even though Bondrewd sacrificed Pashida due because of her Stockholm induced love towards him, Bushida gave her heart to the main character as a white whistle because she is the only one that showed her what you could consider true friendship and relationship that was genuine. You know what I mean?
Pretty much.
So that was actually pretty nice, pretty beautiful, even though it's super dark. No, I only have one last question. I mean, we've talked about the movie from start to finish. We talked about multiple things. Do you think this is going to get darker, or is this just setting the tone for what the rest of the show is probably going to be?
Darker.
You just don't care. You've seen so much dark shit. You're like numb now.
Yeah, kinda.
See, at least I have a little bit of sanity where I can, you know, be amazed by the craziness that we see. Um,
You're going to lose the last bit of sanity you have left when you're doing the commentary track.
I hate this already. Um, but yeah, guys, I mean, there's not much to say. I mean, we're not going to go through the whole story. Of course, we're only going to talk about the things that we liked. I think from the general consensus from this review, you guys can tell we like the movie. We love Made in Abyss. We love this world. We are freaked out by how dark and crazy it is, but we do love it and we find it interesting. and we want to watch a lot more of it. And we can't wait for season 2 to come out, which is going to come out sometime this year. Um, and at this point, I mean, we strongly recommend you watch it. If you loved season 1, you're going to love this movie because it's more of what makes that show great and interesting with a huge expansion of its world. So I just can't wait to see more of it. I can't wait to see season 2, and I can't wait to see how further the rabbit hole goes. Um, Isaac, any final thoughts on this?
No, not really.
So let us know. Did you like this movie? Do you like Made in Abyss? We want to know what you think. Were you as freaked out as we were? Should we be reading the manga of Made in Abyss as opposed to just waiting for the movies? What do you think? Let us know. Talk to us in the comments below. Share this with your friends. Watch more anime. If there's any shows that you guys would like us to cover, any movies that you'd like us to cover, let us know. Every week we cover My Hero Academia manga. Every week we cover My Hero Academia Vigilantes. Every week we're covering Attack on Titan, the final season. Every Sunday we're doing live streams on it, and we cover anime movies throughout the month. Anytime we see an interesting movie, we'll cover it. Apparently, we're going to do more Pokemon movies, which is going to be awesome. Something that was requested by one of our listeners. So we just did a review on Pokemon I Choose You, which is one of the newer Pokemon movies, somewhat of a soft reboot of the franchise with a retelling of at the beginning of Ash's adventures. So stay tuned for more awesome content like that. And before we head out, Isaac, where can people find you, my brother?
Well, you can find me over at Emblemaniac and on Twitter, and you can find me over at Global Entertainment with my work.
And you can find me at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Twitter. And you can find me at the Scarlet 52 on Instagram. And you can find us at Amateur Otaku Pod for any questions, upcoming content and reviews on awesome anime content. Have it awesome, guys. Peace.